What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am, and welcome back to the weekly Reddit video. Today we're going to be talking about sailors sharing their creepiest experiences from the ocean, because goddamn, that stuff is horrifying. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it.
And I got eyes like an eagle, stacking so much money you would think that it's illegal. I'm getting quiet now, laying low when you reach zone, wiping out, making out, stack the bread, cause you love the sound, just so.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, last night I was up late and the thread itself was, Sailors of Reddit, what is the spookiest / scariest thing that you have ever seen at sea? And I personally think it's gotta be some variation of semen, but that's because I'm an immature 12-year-old. Not paranormal scary, but real life scary. My dad worked in the offshore drilling industry in Nigeria in the 90s, and him and some French company men were handing out to a platform when they got boarded by pirates. 5 Frenchmen got beheaded before my dad and the rest of the crew took the ship back. He told me about this when I asked him if he ever killed someone. He said he didn't know, but when you smack a dude with an iron bar and falls into the sea and doesn't come up, he might be dead. He still has nightmares about it. Didn't think this would get to the top, but since it did, here's another one of my dad's stories from Africa and the company he worked. Albert Albila, the company catering, had a compound outside of Lagos, Nigeria. It had 14-foot high concrete guards or walls with battlements, razor wires, and sniper towers. It had a full-time security staff of mercenaries from some. And one night, these tribesmen decided to raid the compound. Like 100 of these guys assault the compound, throwing thick rugs over the razor wire and having guys lay on it and their buddies run over the top. The mercenaries managed to kill all of them, and I think like 5 of the mercs got killed with machetes. My dad said they were burning bodies for 2 days after that. Jesus, bro, what is going on, man? It's stuff like this that makes me reminded to be very, very grateful for the fact that, like, I go to bed and complain about the fact that my house gets a little too chilly at night. I'm not a sailor, but my brother is in the Navy, and he was showing us a DVD of one of his tours. There was one shot where you saw a box floating in the sea, and if you didn't know any better, you'd think it was fallen cargo or something. My brother paused the DVD and told us what it actually was. They got down into the water and found out it was an old fridge that was locked. Worse, it had a very dead human body inside of it. And worse than that, it had very clearly been scratched from the inside. They were pretty far out from land at that point, so they had no idea how long it had been floating around. Yeah, okay, that's what would have actually happened in that Indiana Jones movie when he climbed inside the fridge to get away from the nuclear blast. He would have just been human smoothie. My dad was in the merchant navy for several years in the 70s. He has tons of stories, but he said the weirdest time was when his ship was traveling through the Bermuda Triangle, famed for, you know, strange or supposedly paranormal events occurring within it. They were traveling at a low rate of knots through the fog and suddenly came across a small boat with 3 Far Eastern looking men in it. The men were all standing at attention and saluting, but were not responding to my dad and the crew when they began shouting to see if they were okay. Not once did they move or shout back. My dad and the crew wanted to drop anchor and bring them in, thinking they were traumatized or spooked in some way. But the captain didn't want to stop and told the engine room to carry on, which didn't go down well with its crew. Apparently, the captain had to leave the ship when it reached port as the crew were on the verge of mutiny. It hadn't been the first time he had made everyone else think or made what everyone else thought to be a stupid or unexplainable decision. Alright, call me crazy here, but if I'm on a boat in the middle of a Bermuda Triangle and a boat floats by with a bunch of ghastly looking men standing there saluting and nothing we say to them is breaking them out of their trance, I'm leaving too, bro. You think I'm taking my chances with the Bermuda Triangle? No, thank you. It was a new moon, so it was a pretty dark night. We were 10 to 15 nautical miles off the Oregon coast, so there was almost no light pollution. Flat, calm sea, and a light breeze with us, so, you know, no appearance of wind. I was on watch from 4 to 8, and lights start flashing underwater. We had been looking at the Milky Way, discussing constellations or so, and we had our eyes adjusted to the dark full on, and the first little flashes were almost a full spectrum of light, but the following flashes off the starboard beam from a wider and wider area were various different colors, changing in intensity and color and also moving, and, you know, beginning to parallel our course, then too close with the hull, matching our speed. What the hell is that? The whole crew is basically looking over the rail, except for the helmsperson who can't abandon their post. Within 15 to 20 seconds, there are lights from 10 to 20 feet abeam to about 100 yards ahead in eastern, and they seem to be individual entities moving in some kind of coordinated unison. At first, first, I thought it was like a subsurfacing, but now the lights were spread over too large of an area, and I thought, aliens! The mothership is surfacing right underneath us. Nope, it was just a school of Humboldt squid. They're like 3 to 7 feet long, depending on the individual, and there were tons of them. I'd never seen it before, and I hadn't seen it since, but it was awesome to witness, and hearing some hardcore sailors screaming like little girls and clutch onto each other before we figured it out is a priceless story. Yeah, it's all fun and games until you find out that squids are actually the lost people of Atlantis, and they have an entire civilization down there, and they're just waiting for us to get a little too dog water at cranking 90s so they can come back and take back what's rightfully theirs, man. Having to cross through a storm is spooky as hell, and you always get this sinking feeling that the ship's not gonna make it. However, coming from one of the first nations to ever sail the oceans, what really gets me is that now we know with an incredible degree of certainty where we are in the world. The first sailors that set out in wooden boats had no clue and still did it anyways. This is particularly more impressive when you look out into the pitch black at night and wonder what they would think back then. Honestly, they would probably think, damn bro, it's kinda dark, I wish we had flashlights. Oh wait, we don't know the word for that, it's not invented yet. This is not a first-hand experience and not paranormal, but my commander in ROTC was stationed on a ship during conflict, and he said it was the scariest experience of his life. At his station, he couldn't see a thing, and was just listening to rounds hitting near the ship, having no idea if he was about to die, waiting for darkness. Yeah, sometimes, bro, kids be commenting on, like, COD gameplay. Dude, if I was in the army, I'd quickscope in real life. Yeah, you say that, Brandon, until you're in a situation where there's actually bullets flying anywhere near you, and then you're gonna have brown pants. And trust me, I would too. I'm not the one pretending to be brave for being able to quickscope. Not me, but a great uncle. He was in the merchant navy in the 50s and 60s. He was in the engine room cleaning up and heard something from one of the pieces of machinery and turned around and saw a guy he didn't recognize standing on top of it and waving. He was new to the ship and didn't know everyone, but couldn't think of how the guy got up there. And he told the guy to get down, and he didn't, so my great uncle went off to get a senior officer. Tell his boss, and they both go in to see the guy, and he's gone. And the great uncle starts to describe the person that he saw. The boss goes white as my great uncle describes the guy, who he's never met before, who'd fallen and died on the previous voyage. Basically, my great uncle saw a ghost and told him to get lost. Imagine being an apparition, you just appear in front of somebody, hey man, by the way, there is an afterlife, and they're like, okay, cool, get down off the machine, Daryl, even in death you annoy me. I worked on the flight deck of a carrier for 3 years. I had 2 deployments to the Arabian Sea and also transited the Suez Canal. I felt the call of the void, as I've heard it called. I would be smoking on a weather deck, watching the seas heat by, leaning against the railing, and sometimes the thought of jumping over would materialize in my mind. For the briefest second, it's almost comforting, like a faint magnetism to just do it, and then it's gone. It never even disturbed me, so much as baffled me. Also, the ocean is alien. It's unbelievably vast, deep, and barren, on the surface anyways. I would often ponder what was going on below us, and obviously fantasize about the deep sea monsters, ghost ships, creepy paranormal stuff, and stuff like that. The vast size always unnerved me. It's just something you have to experience. Being hundreds of miles of land, it's crazy. Joke's on you, bro. Me and SpongeBob go way back, so if I ever find myself in Bikini Bottom, I know I'm gonna be alright. He's gonna take me over to Sandy's house, I'm gonna get myself one of those helmets, and I'm gonna vibe. But, you know, you guys do you, be afraid, whatever you want to do. Working on tall ships, I've seen drug runners going full out with their running lights off in the dusk, satellites transisting in the sky, electric discharges at the top of masts, and moonrises that look like fire on the horizon. The coolest things I've ever seen are dolphins and whales swimming in bioluminescent water, which lights up the front half of their body and leaves a tube of light behind them. The creepiest story I've ever heard was from a shipmate who sailed up to Ireland and anchored in the bay when a storm rolled in with a huge storm swell. Their anchor ended up getting caught on a submarine cable and was sending sparks when the throes of the waves exploded it to the air. Hey bro, just use the power of Thor and harness electricity, big man. The doldrums. You spend a year or 2 at sea watching the waves and wind blowing constantly, and then one day it stops. Not so much as a whisper of wind, and the sea is like glass. It feels like time itself has stopped. Realizing how creepy it feels, the captain calls for an all-stop and goes dead in the water. Like a horror movie, everyone migrates topside and just stares at the horizon. No one says a word, and you can hear yourself breathe, and he lets the ship rest for an hour, and the sailors freak out. Panic can set in quickly with a green crew. The only thing the captain says when we get underway is, "Men, this is the doldrums." Yeah, this would be way more horrifying back in the day when they didn't have motors, you know? Like, at least now you can get out of there. Imagine when everything's going good and then you wake up with your ship unable to move for like 2 weeks. No, thank you. That sounds absolutely horrifying. I'm okay. Anyways, guys, that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought. It would be much appreciated. And if you're new, subscribe and be sure to turn on those notifications so you never miss another post. If you guys want more content, I do have a podcast called the SKUFFED. You can find a link to that in the description down below. No pressure though. And if you like the intro song, a link to it on Spotify is also down in the description. And yeah, last but certainly not least, we gotta go ahead and give the members a shout out. If you want a member shout out, all you gotta do is click the join button next to subscribe down there. You get a verified check mark next to your name and a shout out at the end of every video. So yeah, without further ado, let's give a big shout out to Cosmic Ramen, Christian, Candy Rose, Taco Man, Caveman Blank, Jacob, Eli Garrett, Sam Brody, Ultra Radish, Raymond, Michael Savage, Pepe the Gamer, Bullseye Ben, Michael Harris, Cyrus, Nick, Hex, Philip, Flofty, Kanye, Wiro, Lackey, Hallspy, Caden, Jinx, Carrot, Calvin, Kinsta, Franklin, Random Bot, Rose, Zach Bobbin, Trash McGee, Toasty, Ansel, Tom, Knees Duts, Kim, Home Gang, Dashy Boy, DJ Legend, Antog, Alex, Tendons, Coleman, Typical Panda, Master Milks, Aaron Loves Scrubs, William Dubois, Rosento, Mackenzie, Geo, Pwaz, Jellybean, Woofles, Benedict D, Brandon, Flawed Phoenix, Dylan Chungus, Unreal Decoy, Sebastian Bees, Johnny Dude, Cosmic Ramen, Fabulously Terrifying, Chandler Lewis, Ryuki, and Why So Blurry. Thank you all so much for being members. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.